The evening was calm, the kind that settles in with the quiet hum of the refrigerator and the rhythmic chirping of crickets just beyond the windows. It was a sort of silence that felt comfortable, familiar. I was curled up on the living room couch, flipping through a book I'd been meaning to finish for months, when suddenly the lights flickered once, twice, and then everything went black. The power was out. At first, I dismissed it as nothing more than a minor inconvenience, maybe a blown fuse or a brief outage from a storm I hadn't noticed. I reached for my phone, its screen glowing dimly in the dark as I checked the time. But just as I was about to shrug it off, something made me freeze. A voice, a whisper. It came from the kitchen, low and urgent. My wife, Ellie. We need to make it look like an accident. I felt my breath hitch in my throat, my heartbeat suddenly deafening. Eduardo's voice followed. A name I never expected to hear in such a context. Our neighbor, the guy who always seemed to be around just a little too much, who lingered in doorways when he borrowed tools, who always asked about Ellie in a way that never sat right with me. Are you sure about this? He asked her. My mind raced, piecing together fragments of memories, small moments I had brushed aside. Ellie had been distant lately, her laughter quieter, her gaze often lost in thoughts I couldn't reach. I had blamed it on work. She was a nurse, always exhausted from long shifts. But now, crouched in the darkness, I realized there was more to it. Much more. Their voices lowered into murmurs I couldn't quite catch, and I stayed still, barely breathing, as the weight of what I had just heard settled in my chest. Then, after a few minutes, the power returned. The lights flickered back to life, and I forced myself to move. I rubbed my eyes as if waking from a nap, playing the part of someone oblivious. Ellie walked into the room, her face composed, too composed. Everything okay? I asked, my voice casual. She nodded, but something flickered in her expression. A split-second hesitation. A hint of something I had never noticed before. Something dangerous. Our marriage hadn't been perfect, but I never imagined this. Now, with the chilling echo of her words still hanging in the air, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't safe in my own home. I needed answers. The next day, after Ellie left for work, I sat down at our shared laptop. My hands trembled as I clicked through the browser history. Between innocent searches for recipes and online shopping, there they were, questions no one should have a reason to ask. How to stage an accident. Life insurance claims after death. Undetectable poisons. I stared at the screen, nausea curling in my stomach. This wasn't paranoia. This was real. I needed proof. I ordered a set of small wireless cameras, the kind that could be hidden in plain sight. When they arrived, I spent an afternoon placing them carefully. One behind a potted plant in the kitchen, another nestled among books in the living room, and a third near the back door where Eduardo often entered. Then I waited. Over the next few weeks, the truth unraveled before my eyes. Late at night, Ellie and Eduardo would meet in our kitchen, their voices hushed, their heads close together. I watched them whisper about timing, about making it quick. One clip showed Eduardo handing Ellie a small vial of liquid, clear, unassuming. She pocketed it without hesitation. I recorded everything, saved it all to a USB drive hidden deep in my sock drawer. But I knew I couldn't confront them yet. If they were planning to kill me, they wouldn't hesitate to eliminate any obstacles in their way. I had to be smart, so I played my own game. I started acting cheerful, even oblivious, while subtly planting seeds of doubt between them. I would mention, offhandedly, how Eduardo seemed extra interested in Ellie lately, watching her squirm as she tried to downplay it. I left the back door unlocked some nights, then casually asked if she had noticed anyone lurking around, making her wonder if Eduardo was careless. I could see the tension building. Ellie snapping at him over the phone, Eduardo glaring at me when he thought I wasn't looking. They were unraveling, and they had no idea I was pulling the strings. Meanwhile, I took steps to protect myself. I drained our joint savings account little by little, moving the money into an account under my name only, to cover my tracks. I told Ellie I had taken up online gambling, that I was on a losing streak. She bought the lie, irritated but not suspicious. I also changed my life insurance policy, removing her as a beneficiary and naming my sister instead. If anything happened to me, Ellie would get nothing. Then came the breaking point. One evening, during a heavy rainstorm, I sat Ellie down at the kitchen table. My laptop was open in front of me. I hit play. The recordings spoke for themselves. Ellie's voice echoed through the speakers. Asterisk, he's worth more dead than alive. Asterisk, her face drained of color. Her hands trembled as she listened to herself and Eduardo plotting. I watched the panic set in, the realization that there was no way out. Tell me the truth, Ellie, I said, my voice steady. All of it. She broke down sobbing, admitted to the affair, swore up and down that there was no real plan, that it was just talk, just a fantasy of frustration. But I didn't believe her. Not with the vial, not with the browser searches, not with the cold calculation I had seen in her eyes before. That was it for me. The next day, I filed for divorce. I handed over everything, the recordings, the messages, the photos to my lawyer. It was brutal. Ellie fought me at every turn, tried to claim I had fabricated it all. But the evidence was airtight. The judge didn't buy her tears. I walked away with everything I had protected. As for Ellie and Eduardo, their lives crumbled in ways I couldn't have planned better myself. Word spread through town. The whispers about their affair, the murder plot, the vial. Eduardo lost his job at the hardware store. Ellie was quietly let go from the hospital. They turned on each other, their relationship collapsing under the weight of their own choices. And me? I moved, found a new place, small, quiet, with big windows and no ghosts of the past. I started therapy. Some days, I just sat there and cried, mourning the life I thought I had. Other days, I pieced together the lessons I had learned, the signs I had ignored, the instincts I would never doubt again. Hate takes too much energy. I don't waste mine on Ellie or Eduardo anymore. They destroyed themselves. I didn't need to lift a finger. Now, the future is wide open, and for the first time in a long time, I'm ready to live it.